It's been 3 years since we inherited this ancient woodland from my late grandfather, and just last year we took it upon ourselves to restore this rare and valuable habitat, and started this YouTube channel to document and share that journey. Now, as we enter our second spring since starting this work, here's an update of the progress that we made over the winter period. "2025 ended with a beautiful autumn. The trees were golden, the skies were blue, and we didn't get much rain, which meant we had the perfect conditions to keep up the momentum of work after summer. We took advantage of that good weather to continue with our main task of clearing the woodland of invasive species, particularly the rhododendron and cherry laurel that have taken over the southern ridge. These are two highly invasive species of tree that spread rapidly, are hard to kill without herbicides, and they negatively impact the ecosystem by limiting the number of native ground flora able to grow. Usually you would use chemicals like glyphosate to kill the plants and prevent this kind of regrowth, but since we're working in a very delicate and sensitive environment here, then we'd like to avoid any risk of potential contamination as much as possible. While it can sometimes feel like an uphill battle, we have made massive progress in tackling these invasive trees, and we'll be releasing a big update on that work very soon. Winter came gradually last year, slowly, and then suddenly all at once. Within a week, the crimson leaves on the trees had been shed, the temperature dropped, and that's when the rain started. And it didn't stop for 2 months. But one advantage to the winter is that the summer's overgrowth dies back, which means we are better able to access certain areas of the woodland that are otherwise inaccessible for half the year because of overgrown bracken or another invasive plant called Himalayan balsam, which grows all around the woodland. Now, although this is an ancient woodland ecosystem, the land hasn't escaped the impact of the modern world. In fact, the woodland is situated right outside a small town, with a footpath that runs along our property where we frequently find litter and signs of trespassing. There were some logs here, and now there aren't. So, I believe someone has seen that, pulled over, and helped themselves. And in the years that my grandfather used this land for logging, and from the forestry activities predating his ownership, there are many signs of leftover machinery or just general junk that was never cleared up. So as the bracken receded and the canopy opened, we got back to work clearing the rubbish from the land. This is the kind of job we can only really do seasonally, as many areas are inaccessible once the bracken starts growing in summer. So when winter comes, it's all hands on deck for clearing as much rubbish as we can. And for the first few weeks of winter, that was all that we were doing, and had pushed many of our other responsibilities to the wayside. But that came back to bite us one day when we received a call in early December that we had been dreading since first inheriting the land. A tree has come down at the woods, so I've just come down here to check it out. So the police have blocked the road off, so presumably they'll be coming out. Oh, that's not good. Jesus. Due to a mix of factors like the torrential rains, gale force winds, and a genuine oversight on our part, 3 large trees blew down during a storm and landed right across the road and pulled down a telephone wire too. This was a situation we were not ready to deal with, but it showed us the brutal reality of land ownership, the harshness of winter, and most importantly that we can't afford to overlook anything if we are going to be responsible custodians and stewards of this land. Our chainsaw typically needs a new chain at the moment, so if only we'd done that last week, then we'd have been able to help a bit more. Fortunately, we weren't held accountable for the incident, and the local council were responsible for clearing the mess as it had fallen into the road. But it could have been a lot worse. Thankfully, nobody was hurt and there was no major damage to any property. After inspecting the fallen tree, it was clear that it had been beset by root rot. And this got me thinking about how to protect the trees that are still standing along the road, and also how to reinforce the soil along the embankment. So as part of our ongoing restoration work, we're going to be planting a mix of native shrubs along the bank on the road here to reinforce the soil, as well as building another dead hedge to mark the boundary of the land and prevent any potential accidents that might occur with wildlife. And of course, we also need to ensure that we are regularly inspecting and maintaining the trees along the road for further signs of root rot or any other potential hazards. And if anything good came from the tree falling down, the incident also urged me to learn a very important skill that I had yet to learn: how to properly operate a chainsaw. Up until this point, the majority of our work was done using hand tools, which, while strenuous, still got the work done. And although we had a chainsaw, I didn't know how to use it safely, and wouldn't even think about trying to figure it out by myself. So, over the holidays, I had my dad show me how to properly use a chainsaw.
Yeah. Okay, you never go above that height.
Yeah. Or at least how he uses a chainsaw. I think he knows how. Anyway, now we have an additional tool in our arsenal. She's only a little Hyundai with a 16-inch bar, but she gets the job done without blowing up, most of the time. Winter is the ideal time to cut down any trees that need felling and coppice shorter trees and shrubs like hazel while they are dormant. And we also discovered that a patch of sycamore trees in the centre of the woodland have root rot, so I've been gradually thinning those trees out while they're still dormant too. And we've been using the materials from our coppicing work to build this dead hedge around our farm. At the same time as we were building this dead hedge, I finally got round to completing a project that I started 3 years ago when we first started working in the land. Our staircase. Due to the fragmented structure of the woodland, we often have to move back and forth between different areas for different jobs that need doing. So as we were building the dead hedge around the farm, I also went on a hunt for more leftover railway sleepers in the woodland to set the last few steps in our staircase that bypasses Badger Valley and allows us to safely make it up and down the steep hill with tools and a wheelbarrow. And finally, over winter, we made a very cool addition to the woodland and to our videos by installing a wildlife camera right in the heart of Badger Valley. And what a great decision that was, because within a matter of just 2 weeks, we captured over 3 hours of footage and provided not only a glimpse into what kind of animals we share this environment with, but also gives us valuable data and insights for our ecological restoration work. And will help us conduct future surveys and monitor the biodiversity changes as we restore the ecosystem. But it wasn't just on the forest floor that we saw wildlife. When the canopy opens up in the winter, you get a clearer view of what animals are living in the sky above you as well. And over the winter, I saw 2 particularly incredible animals. The first was a buzzard which swept right overhead while I was starting the dead hedge and landed in the crown of one of our beautiful tall Douglas fir trees and paused for just long enough for me to capture it on my camera before swooping away into the field next door to hunt for mice. And right before the new year, I was down here filming our 2025 recap when I was blessed to see my very first red kite, which again swooped right over my head, over the farm, and landed in a Douglas fir down in the bottom corner of our woodland, where it perched for a good 5 minutes, and I was able to capture plenty of footage of it. But while we made significant progress in the woodlands, the majority of our work over winter was within. Winter is the time for nature to go dormant, hibernate, and turn inwards. There were many great days filled with hard work, but there were perhaps just as many days spent simply enjoying the woodland. After all, the ultimate vision for the Wellstead is to create a refuge for nature and people alike. A place that demonstrates the potential and importance of small-scale rewilding projects, as well as a place where people can come to reflect, reconnect, learn and grow. Winter is never an easy time, especially when there's so much rain. And there's always a compromise no matter what time of year you're working in. Summer is very humid and the woodland is overgrown. Winter is cold and wet and the days are short. But every year spring comes and reminds us that while some things appear to have disappeared or fallen behind, sometimes all you need is time to rest and recuperate before getting back out there and giving it your all. So thanks for all your support with the channel over the winter season. We're kicking this year off with a bang and already have a great momentum going with our work. Subscribe to the Wellstead to keep up to date with all the amazing plans that we have for this year. And I will see you next week for a new season at the Wellstead.